Okay, let's get underway. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's BullCharts User Group webinar. We're getting underway. Please remember the disclaimer, nothing tonight is advice of any sort. For tonight's session and last Tuesday's meeting in Melbourne, the plan is to have a discussion about some of the perhaps less well-known BullCharts features, and there's a list of them there in the agenda. Under the general business heading, this doesn't really affect us too much, but we can celebrate. In the August meeting in a month's time, we will be celebrating our 19th user group birthday. In the Melbourne session, we will be having a small quantity of birthday cakes. So feel free in the webinar in a month's time, feel free to bring along your own cake. I'm sorry I can't post you any. In last week's Melbourne meeting, the July meeting in Melbourne, meeting number 228, here's a brief recap of what we did. Listed here are the things that I'm planning to talk about tonight with some screenshots. And we'll have time and we'll be able to have a chat about each of these as we go through them. I've got that set of minutes here in front of me printed out, so I can use that as my guide going forward. And for everyone else there, you can follow on from your copy of the agenda or the minutes if you've managed to download them and have a look. They go on for a few pages. Tile windows, flips through securities training mode, and then we got down to talking about the share market game. But let's get underway. Here's my bull charts, including today's end of day data for the index. Now, the first thing that we covered last week in the Melbourne meeting was managing and viewing non-ASX securities. Don't forget that bull charts itself in Security Manager, I'll just display Security Manager over on the right here, and I'll drag that to expand it. This includes something like how many down the bottom? Oh, goodness gracious, 4,152 securities. Usually there's only 2,500 to 3,000, and now there's 4,000 securities on the ASX. So the deal here is that usually it's quick and easy to look at a price chart for any of these securities, ASX securities. They're stored in the BullCharts database, and also add indicators and add these to watch lists and create your own watch lists and whatever. That's fairly straightforward. In addition to that, there are a number of other things we can do. We can look at the price chart for a number of global indices, the stocks, securities in the S&P 500, some of the commodities and some cryptocurrencies. They're listed under other lists here under all securities, and I can show you that here. Under other lists, global indices, here are 15 of them. Now, there's a lot more of that, of course, but this is a sample of what's available. If I click up here on S&P 500, there's a list down here of 505 securities that are in the S&P 500. And clicking on those, I should be able to see a price chart for each one of them. Once again, that's not coming up quickly. Why is that? How's my internet? Let's try the commodities list. Here it is. So that's iron ore, is it? That's interesting. Silver. I'm guessing that the data for these price charts comes over the internet. It's not stored locally. Okay, so when things are behaving normally, under this heading, other lists, I've got access to these categories of securities, stocks, indexes, commodities, and some cryptocurrencies. In the minutes of last week's meeting, I then continued by talking about databases. Now, in my bull charts, I've got these four databases here, Com, Index, mFund, and US. Now, the story is you might not have all of those databases showing in your security manager. You might not have all, or you might have additional ones. Let's have a quick look at how you get them. If we go to the BullCharts website, bullcharts.com.au, down the left-hand side towards the bottom, updates and downloads. And most of you are probably familiar with this. This is where you put in your BullCharts data down, username and password. And if you scroll down here past the options to download the latest version of BullCharts, scroll further down to data tools, all of these links here are different databases, including Amex, the American Stock Exchange, the Commodities data tool, which is very small, the NASDAQ, and some others. And if you click on one of these links and download that package and then execute that package, BullCharts will then add another database under this heading on the right-hand side in Security Manager. Oh, there's gold in Australian dollars. Henry gas, iron ore, lead. And there's one data point up here. 27,000. Nickel, palladium, rhodium. Interesting charts. Another one up there. So you can add extra databases in here, choose them from this list, download it and execute it. And if you get to a point where you no longer want any of these databases, then you can simply delete the database file. Now, to find out where it is and delete it, in BullCharts, go to Tools, Preferences, and on the last tab, Files, scroll down to the very bottom, BullCharts Database. That tells you where the BullCharts database is. It's on my SSD drive, and I notice my SSD drive is currently not running at 100% anymore. That's my task manager where I keep an eye on those things. But here, if you go back up to, it'll be in that folder there. Click on View Location, because the BullCharts database and other databases are stored in that location. And Windows Explorer will open up and show you that folder, that directory. So on my E drive, databases, here are the databases that I've got. BullCharts ones and the Commodities one and the Index database, the mFund one and the US one. Note the US one, how big it is. It is 8 gigabytes in size, which is fairly large. But also the BullCharts database, Bull Store, is 2 gigabytes. Now, if you don't want any one of these, you can simply select it and delete it. Delete it in Windows Explorer and it'll be gone, and BullCharts won't see it anymore and won't have it in this list. So that's easy enough to do. For more, For more information about all this, go to the BullCharts knowledge base and search for additional databases. And if you do that, this is what it'll look like. I've just checked my internet connection. It's quite good. Additional databases. And here is some information about what they are, where to find them, how to access and download them, where do they live. There's a list of screenshot of what we just basically looked at. Updating the data, how to delete an unwanted database. That tells you how to do it. So that's all about managing and viewing non-ASX securities, other lists and databases. Searching for a stock code or a name, code or name. A couple of ways to do it. There is a toolbar button in Security Manager. Let's just go back to BullCharts. Up here at the very top of Security Manager, there's a button. The first one there is to create a new watch list. Some people don't use that, or a watch list folder. Some people don't use that. They go down to wherever they want to create it, and simply right click where they want to put it and insert a new watch list. But the second button is the quick symbol search. And you get much the same responses down the bottom of Security Manager, clicking on the third tab. And in there you can type whatever text string you want and hit the enter key. And BullCharts will search through all of the securities it's got in Security Manager, including all the databases. And this, I'm searching by symbol at the moment, and it'll show you all of the results that it's found in the search. We can also search by name. And here are all of the securities across my BullCharts collection of stuff, securities, databases, with the word gold somewhere within the name. Or we could search on comment. Now, don't forget the comment field. There's a comment field, symbol, name, comment on the watch list that it's in. There you go. Or chart memo field. Now, let's just change the stock here to CBA. There's CBA, down a lot today. Don't forget the chart memo field. If you tap Control M on the keyboard, then this pane, if you like, window pane at the bottom of the screen opens up, where you can type any sort of text you like for that particular security, regardless of the watch list that it's in. If you forget that Control M is how to do it, you can also pull up the chart memo by using View and View Show Chart Memo. And it tells you there Control M is the shortcut to enable it. So you can search across all of your chart memo fields if you want. Next item down the list. Oh, that's an interesting point. The quick search panel and the control panel. That's a reference to Security Manager. In the last few versions of BullCharts, this thing that a lot of us know as Security Manager, which includes 6 tabs across the bottom: Securities, Scan Manager, Quick Search, the Layer Manager, Workspace Manager, and Alert Manager. This whole panel we've been referring to as the control panel. And you might find that on your BullCharts, these 6 tabs might be in a different sequence, or you might have one tab button missing. That's okay, because it's so easy to rearrange these tabs. Just click and hold one of them and drag it to a different location. And if you happen to drag one off the panel, it'll disappear off the panel. It'll be gone. Now, there is a way to recover from that. Don't ask me what it is, because I can't recall. I'd have to fiddle around with it. But it's so easy to rearrange things there and make changes. So if at the bottom of your Security Manager, Scan Manager, if yours looks different, that'd be why. In old versions of BullCharts, to redock this against the side of the screen, we had to very carefully maneuver it close to the edge of the screen. We no longer have to do that, because there's these little squares that pop up in the middle of the screen and to the right and left. And all you do is drag the top border of the control panel over one of those and it'll redock. So there's Apple. I finally downloaded the data. Oh, here we go. It's running now. Oh, I just noticed something interesting. So control that explains what the control panel is and the 6 tabs across the bottom. Let's talk about managing watch lists and forcing a sort sequence. Now, most of you would have seen me do this before. This screenshot here on the right is my very messy and full of stuff Security Manager with all these watch list folders. And in each of these folders, I've sometimes got other folders, watch list folders, and eventually I've got some watch lists with stocks in the watch list. And notice that the way these are listed here, I've got them in a particular sequence. Normally, what you might find in your security manager is that your watch lists are sorted in alphabetic order. I've renamed a number of my watch list folders with a dollar symbol in the front, or $2 or $3 symbols, to force the alphabetic sorting to put them higher up the list. That's all that is. And that's what that text on the left tries to explain. It's all about the ASCII alphanumeric sort sequence. And I should mention too, what it's got further down here. Please feel free to use the dollar symbol to force your lists folders into an order like that, a sequence, but avoid the underscore character and avoid the percent symbol and the asterisk, because some computer systems will interpret these in a different manner. And there are other symbols that you can use. Right now, the hash symbol, I think, works okay. So watch lists, you can create folders within folders, put watch lists into folders and have all the contents there. Then further down here in the minutes, I've talked about Security Manager and the watch lists and coloring entries, as in this example here. And most of you would have seen us talk about this before. It is easy enough in, I'll just pull up something here, stock that's in my ASX database, and it's easy in a regular watch list. It is easy to, and we can see this is the results of a scan because it's got the rank in the comment field. It's easy to color these entries in the list. Now, I'm doing that using the control key and one of the digits on the keyboard. If you're not sure of how to do this, right-click on one of the stocks, entries in the list, choose Select Color, and choose one of these colors off the list. And note that it also tells you which digit to use with the control key, Control 2, Control 3, Control 4. And you can change the colors in this list and the sequence of them if you want. There is a way to change that. And I think I've got, if you go to the BullCharts knowledge base and search for color watch list entries, color watch list entries, there it is over there, color watch list entries. It tells you here how to color the entries like we just talked about and how to change the list of colors. And it explains how to do that. So if you're not happy or want to tweak them, by all means, you can customize your list of colors. Sorting by color. I can right click here and then sort order, sort by color. So if, for instance, I'm choosing that the goldy color are my stocks to watch intensely tomorrow, as opposed to green, which is those that are my second preference. If I'm using the colors for that purpose, then by sorting by color, all of those high focused stocks that I'm watching come to the top of the list. Copy watch list symbols. Many of our users will copy a list of stocks out to a watch list. Out to an Excel spreadsheet or some other sort of spreadsheet. I don't use Excel. I've mentioned that before. I mention it at every opportunity because I hate Microsoft, but don't quote me on that. If you right click on a watch list, let's choose last scan results. You can copy the symbols to the Windows clipboard. Now, just to demonstrate that they are copied there, let me open up Windows Notepad and do edit paste, and you'll see all of those stocks from that watch list are now pasted into Notepad. And you can save it as a CSV file. If you've got a spreadsheet program open, you can paste them into Excel or whatever it is. So but just bear in mind that the only thing that's copied are the symbols. So when you right click, copy symbols, it only copies the symbols. I know that some people run a scan and then export the scan results out to a CSV file or to Excel or a spreadsheet. And that will take the security code and the name and all of the fields across the scan result table. So that might be more powerful rather than simply copying symbols.
Robert, can you hear me?
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I use it, and you've got to be careful because I use it for ones with net tangible assets below below their current price. And if you send the whole lot to LibreOffice or one of the spreadsheets, is fine. But if you leave it in your watch list, it changes all the amounts and just ranks them. So you lose the difference. So you really have to export it as a CSV because there's another option to export as CSV.
Are you talking about exporting the scan results?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Yep.
because you'll notice in there, if you leave them as a watch list, created as a watch list,
Mm-hmm.
it will
Mm.
change all the values to a ranking list
Yep.
instead of the actual values. So, example, you want the net tangible asset and the price, so you can put them in a spreadsheet and say, what's the percentage difference?
Yep.
But if you leave it as a created as a watch list, you're going to lose
Yep.
all that information.
Yes. Yep. Understand that. Um, and and you probably understand the reason for that. Casual observers may not. I'll just quickly run a scan. Um, I run this every week, every once a week, Friday night. I'll stop it. And then, uh, so if I right click here, I can choose create as watch list or export. Yeah. And Paul, I think what you're saying is if I create as watch list, because the watch lists can only have these three columns, the symbol field, the name field, and the comment field, by exporting this to a watch list, you don't get to take all of the columns as well.
That's correct. You only get that one column, so it ranks. It automatically just ranks them.
That's right. Yeah, that is something to watch. Yeah, you're right. And exporting will export the whole thing out to a CSV file. Yeah. If anyone's wondering what CSV stands for, it's comma separated value. Detailed watch list. With old versions of bull charts, if I'll just close that scan, if we had a double clicked on a watch list, and some users have been used to double clicking on the watch list name for many years, they never realized that in recent versions, by double clicking on this, you open up the detailed watch list. It's the same as choosing right click and view detailed watch list. And the detailed watch list simply shows you all of the securities in that watch list. So the securities listed there on the right, they're all listed with a number of columns, and the columns there are customizable. You can customize them by going to Format Current View and change this. Where's my dialog on Customize Current View? Here it is. There's a list of available columns on the left, and the displayed columns currently are on the right, and you can select them and add them or remove or whatever, and then save that view with a name. So, and those of you who watch the market during the day, and I think you might need live data to do this, can see during the day the numbers on the screen flash and change as the day progresses, which is very useful. That's the detailed watch list. And the bull charts knowledge base has a whole chapter about the detailed watch list. Chapter 11. How to do it, changing the schemes, change the format, edit it, create a new view. It goes on and on. Let's move on. How to measure the price change over a specific period of time. There's a few ways to do this. It depends on what you really want to do and why and how. The crosshair cursor is the first one I've got comment on there. And the crosshair cursor simply looks like this. And in the right margin on the right axis, it shows the value. And on the time axis at the bottom, it shows the date corresponding to wherever that cursor is positioned. And you can turn the crosshair cursor on or off using the menu option View Crosshair or the shortcut key Control-Shift-X. Control-Shift-X. And that'll show you where the mouse cursor is on the screen. And that's explained there. The other way to have a look at values on the screen is to use the info window. And the info window is it on the view menu as well? Show info window. I thought it was around somewhere, but it's this button up here. Show info window. It just appeared on my other screen. And the values on the info window change as you move across the screen. Now, if we add in here, Guppy multiple moving average, put that on the screen, and you'll see here that in the info window, as you move the mouse cursor across the screen, it shows you the values for that date where the cursor is positioned. Now, a number of applications, in particular some web applications and ProTrader software, have essentially something like the info window docked against the left side of the screen, so it's always visible. And you might like to do that. And it docks and undocks in much the same way as Security Manager does. So you can always have that there should you wish to have it. Otherwise, just grab the top of it, move it away, and you can close it. The info window. Show hide info window. Then a very popular tool for measuring price change over time is the trend ruler. And most of you will know that the trend ruler is over on that toolbar. Now, I've forgotten where the default location is for this toolbar. On my screen, it's on the right-hand side. And the trend ruler is this triangular thing, and you simply click and click, and BullCharts will drop it onto the screen. And I think from memory, the default value for this is not to snap to data. I've got my default set to snap to data so that as I drag a point across the chart, it snaps onto the close price for the day or the week if I'm looking at a weekly chart. Now that can be annoying if you don't want it to snap to the close. I can turn mine off, and you can actually have it snap to the high of the day or the low of the day. And to do that, as you drag this point across the chart, before you let go of the mouse button, tap a letter on the keyboard that corresponds to open, high, low, or close. If you want it on the low, tap on the letter L, then let the mouse button go, and it'll jump to that particular value for the day. So that's the trend ruler. Trend ruler line studies. Behind the same toolbar button, there are a couple of others, the value ruler, percent ruler, and time ruler, so that you can actually put these on the chart and measure the value between one level and another, or a percentage or time across the time axis. Time across here. 12 hours or 19 days. So that's the trend ruler. The range info is a tool that's there that will shade the area and show you the open, high, low, close, average number of bars, calendar days change in value, 20 cents, percentage and volume over that period. So there is one more tool that didn't make it into the minutes of last week's meeting. Let's move on and talk about chart annotations. No longer talking about change. Now this is starting to talk about the many different tools on this line studies toolbar that I've got docked on the right-hand side of my screen. And under that first button, there are a number of useful tools. Don't forget there are 3 variations of lines: line interval between 2 points, a line ray where one end of the line continues to infinity, and the infinite line that extends in both directions. Then there's the vertical line, horizontal line, a crosshair that you can place on the chart, a pair of parallel lines like a trend channel, and 4 others. Now, a new feature that got implemented, I'll just delete everything here, Control Delete, delete all. A new feature that got implemented before COVID, gee, that's a long time ago now, on the swing trend line, and I'm just going to put the swing trend line on here arbitrarily. And for those of you who are Elliott Wave users, you might want to think about using this particular tool, swing trend line, and adding some sort of letters or numbers or something to the particular points, to the swing points. We can show labels in this tool, swing trend line properties, show labels, and I'll change the font because the default font is very small. I'll change it to something quite big and bold. And we can choose the style of label. Let's choose 1, 2, 3. And it adds those labels onto that swing trend line. So for anyone who's interested in that style of tool on the chart, there it is on the line studies toolbar, swing trend line. The next button on this toolbar has a few useful tools that you can add to your chart, and then there's many more: Fibonacci tools, Gann tools, the range info we looked at before, regression lines, the trend ruler and others, then a number of different extension and retracement tools, cycle lines, Andrews pitchfork, countback lines, speed resistance, and wormhole triangle. Then we've got alerts and icons. So all of those are available. And in the minutes of last week's meeting, I've tried to mention some of those without going into lots of detail. Don't forget, if you redock, if you move any of your toolbars around the screen, and you can, it's important under Tools Preferences to make sure that you prompt to save changes. Where is it? Remember menu toolbar layout and customizations. Make sure that that box is ticked. Otherwise, the next time you start up, your changes to the toolbar location won't be saved. So make sure you do that. The next item, making use of multiple price chart windows. Now, many people do this already, noting that on the left-hand side, we've got a synchronize all chart windows button. Now, this is most useful if you've got multiple charts open. I've got several price charts here. My default layout has volume and value included in it. I can tile all these windows, and at the moment they're all BHP because synchronize all chart windows is enabled. If I unenable that, I can change some of these to be something else. Oh, I thought I typed in STO. There we go. FMG, Rio. And the use that some people have for these is either different periods. So here I've got BHP weekly. Up here I could have BHP daily. And they're all different because I haven't got synchronize enabled. If I enable synchronizing, then we can look at a daily chart and a weekly chart at the same time. That's the most simplified version. Daily on the left, weekly on the right. Does anyone make use of multiple windows open at the same time in their space? and either different periods or whatever, or synchronized or not synchronized.
Yeah, it's
Always have.
easier to save it as a workspace than you've got it.
Paul, quite right. There are several ways to tile windows. If I've got several charts open, I can either tile them using that button on the left, which is the same as using window tile, or I can tile them all vertically, or tile them all horizontally, or cascade them. And with any one of them, I can float that window off onto another monitor. I've got another monitor to the right here. If I move that out, it's going off the screen. So float is an option as well. And when you've had enough of all of that, you can close the workspace. File, close workspace. Oh, Windows, comparative percent performance. This is one that often gets overlooked. If, let's say I've got a chart of CBA open, make it a weekly. Now to compare its performance to the other three other big banks, choose the comparative percent performance item on the toolbar from the 2nd of October last year, and in here type without spaces ANZ, comma, NAB, comma, Westpac Bank. Okay. And it'll put all of those on the screen, and I'll just change this vertical line to be something quite thick so we can see it. So as of 2nd of October last year, how have those banks performed compared to each other? Notice the 0% on the left-hand axis or the right-hand one. Bit hard to see there. I can change this 0 level back to April this year, which was Donald Trump's Liberation Day. I keep thinking liquidation, it's liberation. And we can see the performance of the banks from that particular point in time on a weekly basis. And if you don't like the colors, you can change the colors. Change one to be red. So it stands out. ANZ, you can see up in the border there. ANZ is that red one. The color matches. So that's comparative percent performance. The vertical axis changes to percent. And that's an example of what it can look like. Flip through securities. We're almost at the end here. Flip through securities. If we've got something that we do routinely every day or same time every week, if I wanted to, as a routine, step through each of the stocks securities in this watch list, I can either use the down arrow on the keyboard or use the mouse cursor, or at the top, simply choose the button that is flip through securities in this group. Then take my hands off the keyboard and it'll step through. BullCharts will step through each one of those in sequence. If you've got a very long list of securities, this can be advantageous. Saves you the trouble of having to flip through it manually. If it's going too fast or too slow, there's two buttons up here that are enabled. You can click on the negative one to make it go slower, or click on the plus one to make it go faster. And once it gets to the bottom, it stops. I think in an old version, it used to wrap around and go again. So that's flip through securities. And the last feature to talk about is training mode. Now, training mode, down near the bottom here, is the toolbar button that turns on this particular shaded panel to hide recent price action. Now, yours might be a different color. I keep changing the color of mine. You can do that through the properties of the training boundary properties, background color. You can also do that on the time axis. Right-click on the time axis, choose training. Use training mode, date visible background color. And once you've got that enabled, you can manually drag that boundary across the chart. If you're looking at a chart and thinking, now what do I think is going to happen next? Let's reveal another bar or 2 or 3 and see if I'm right. Or down in the bottom left corner on the training mode toolbar, you can turn on auto scroll, and BullCharts will automatically scroll through, move that training mode boundary across the price chart. So if you're looking at a stock and looking back in time and hiding price action and thinking, so what's going to happen next? Let's have a look at an indicator or something. I think this is a very useful tool. And there is information in the KB about training mode, a whole chapter, chapter 28. The default is green, as I should have known. And there's some information there about training mode. That's all on that particular topic. The ASX share trading game. If we go to the ASX game website, I found it very interesting to have a look at the winners of the last game and their strategies. If you go to the ASX website and the share market game web page, it tells you that game 2 registrations are now open. The game will run from 7 August to 20 November. And the game 1 winners listed further down here, I think. Must be a link. They're in the newsletter. The rest of that page talks about the upcoming game. So the final portfolio in the game for this first half this year, 15 weeks, was MacLion 21 from Queensland, who had a portfolio value of 96,000. So over the 15 weeks, MacLion had almost doubled their $50,000 of fantasy money in 15 weeks, which I think is pretty stupendous. Very good. Second place was only 80,000, only. And so on down the list. And here there is a description of how, or the strategy that the winner employed to do this. I won't read it out already. I've already read it. The second place portfolio player, there's a description there of their strategy. And the third place getter, their strategy is there too. Then the top performing university student was from Queensland, and his $74,000 portfolio was based on including some technical analysis in his approach. I think from memory, when I read this, the others didn't use TA at all, which surprised me. Anyway, the ASIC share trading game. Game number 1 ran for 15 weeks till whenever it was, middle of June. Registrations are now open for game 2 this year, with the game running from 7 to 20 November. And I will set up some leagues for our user group members. The latest version of BullCharts now available is 5.1.125, as Paul said before. Any issues with BullCharts? Any tips, how-tos?
Robert, I'm running 131.
131?
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
It came up when I was trying to resolve that regression line issue with Brendan.
Yeah.
He asked me to load 131, but it didn't help the situation at all. But I haven't found any other problems with it either. It's been running fine.
Okay. That's very good. Alec, thanks for that. The next item there, item B, was a question last week from one of our Melbourne users about running BullCharts on Windows version 11. Noting, and most of you have probably heard now, Microsoft has announced that Windows 10 is going to end of life in October this year. So there is no more Microsoft security updates, which some people find very annoying. I just realized that's ambiguous, isn't it? I find the security updates annoying because then you're forced to apply them and reboot the computer, even though you don't want to do it. Unlike the old days where you could put it off and for months or years. So some users are thinking of upgrading from Windows 10 to 11, assuming that their computer hardware is capable. Some computers are not capable, so those people might have seen a message pop up when they reboot saying that their computer is not hardware capable, or you might want to migrate to a new Windows 11 computer, or like me, you might want to keep running Windows 10 for another few months or a year or two. The question last week was, does BullCharts run on Windows 11? The answer was yes. Many users have been, and I'm sure some of you are already running Windows 11 now. And apparently there is a legitimate way to stay on Windows 10 through Microsoft. I think it costs money to enroll in that particular process, so I'm not about to do it. But for anyone who's interested or keen, I'm happy to dig out what the solution is. Someone sent us an email in the last couple of days explaining how to do it. Any comments or questions about running Windows 10 or 11?
Robert, there's plenty of YouTube on how to get around that.
Paul, thank you. I'm not surprised. Yeah, I should have thought of that one. Yeah, YouTube's got an answer for nearly everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you.
And they're legitimate ways. They're not dodgy ways. There is legitimate ways around it.
Okay. I'll just make a note. Also, see YouTube. You're talking about editing the what's it called? Escapes me while I'm trying to write this down.
No, it's not. It's not changing the registry. It's anything like crazy like that. But there is a couple of techniques that they can actually get around the where Windows checks. Basically, you take out that line where Windows checks what your hardware is to see whether you can upgrade to Windows 11.
Yep.
You bypass that, and so you actually upgrade to Windows 11 with a computer that doesn't have the extra chip in it, which is the security bit. So you can actually run Windows 11 on a machine that it's not designed to. It just doesn't have that extra security chip in there, which is what Windows 11 is looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So that's all that Windows 11 looks for. Seems trivial. Paul, thanks for that. Another question that came up was how to migrate BullCharts to another computer. And for those who ever need to do it, there is a comment or an article in the BullCharts knowledge base about backing up your BullCharts user files from your old computer onto a USB stick and then uploading them to a new one. That's all in the BullCharts knowledge base, kb.bullcharts.com.au. And doing a BullCharts backup from time to time of the user data files is recommended. It's fairly straightforward, and you can find it from the Tools menu, Tools Backup, and nominate where to back it up to. Oh, and don't forget, if you ever do that, don't forget that there's usually no need to back up the database because the database is quite big. What was it? 2 to 3 gigabytes. So the backup process and the restore will take a long time. You could always download the latest database from the BullCharts downloads page. General business. The ATA conference is coming up in mid-October in Melbourne. There's a link for more details on the ATA website. Anything else? Any input about any of these other things? Tech news, seminars, websites?
I'll just get a couple of these ago. People were talking about TradingView and some of the charts that were on TradingView and some of the indicators that are on there.
Yep.
there is a way. I have a particular one I like on there, and I used a AI bot to redo it in BullCharts format. I
Oh
just
yeah.
gave an example of BullCharts coding,
Oh
and it
yeah.
coded up for me, and it works like a charm. And only took 2 goes.
Yeah.
Didn't get it right the first time, but if someone's got on TradingView, they've got one they really want to convert, and they're not great with BullCharts, then the AI, ChatGPT, and DeepSeek can do it very quickly.
That is interesting.
Because some people like the TradingView, their charts aren't nice as crisp as BullCharts,
Yeah.
but some of their indicators are very impressive. So that's just a method for if someone looks on there and finds one, they can have it rewritten. I think it took about 15 minutes, only because I'd never used it before. Yes, I got the 2 indicators that I wanted, and they're now in BullCharts formula.
Paul, that's very good.
That helps anyone?
Well done. I'll add that to the minutes. I'm out of things to talk about tonight, and it's nearly 9:30, so it's probably time to go. Thank you all for your interest tonight. All right, everyone, let's end it there. I'll stop recording.